you very much for joining us. We are the Amplifier team. We have Patrick, we have Arun, we have Kenneth. And yes, our project is basically AMP celebrated mobile job ads. With the thingy. Wrong control. Alright, so let's go at it. So what is AMP? So Accelerated Mobile Pages is an open source initiative from Google where they envision to have a really fast and responsive web, and basically once the websites can create optimized content and have it load instantly anywhere. So the project relies entirely on AMP HTML, which is a new sort of type of HTML code that allows to build lightweight web pages. So this is kind of like a reimagined version of HTML because it compiles a lot of the best practices out there. And well, this element strips out of all the things that make the pages load slower on mobile, like JavaScript and third-party scripts. So what is AMP actually? So how does it work? So we have here Seek Asia. Seek Asia creates the AMP page for the normal job ads. So we will have here your normal job ad and you will have your AMP version. So the AMP version is going to cache in Google, while then the platforms of distribution, then the end user. So this kind of like little return thing, here is the analytics part. So why caching in Google? It's the kind of like important thing because the people can access it instantly. So instead of going to our website, you will be looking at the cached version that Google has. That's kind of like the primer thing. We have been doing some tests, and actually the speed is quite impressive. So we're going to be looking at it a little bit further ahead. So everybody has their own thingy? Yes?
I was just getting off Wi-Fi.
Yes, please get off your Wi-Fi.
3G, 2G, 1G.
This is actually built for a really slow connection. So go, if you can change your settings to 2G, go for it. It's going to load like fucking crazy. So, I think that we need to So everybody's there? Great.
Oh, you want that?
So this is our proposal in terms of design. So basically we are following here a very good strategy. I'm probably going to pass it on to Varun and the guys so they can explain a little bit about it.
So from the design point of view, if you're looking at what Google's trying to do with AMP, they're trying to go mobile first, right? We're thinking countries with really low speeds, and also with this AMP thing, it was mainly built for publishers, so reading articles. With the job ad, what we're trying to do here is clean up the job ad, make it look like something that is something that you can read really easily, no matter which job ad you land on, which is either branded or standard ads. And also, we just try to clean up the whole structure, create a sense of brand around the font as well that we chose. And also, what Google does is you're able to swipe from one job ad to the other. Everything is under the same area. So if you scroll down in the job ad, you can see that the first thing that you see is the main summary at the top. And then, as you scroll down, as you scroll down, you see job description as one section, then you see company detailed, additional information, and then recommended jobs at the bottom. And even recommended jobs at the bottom, as you scroll down, you kind of get a interaction that tells you there's more jobs to the right or the left. If you look at the job ads now, when you look at the design, the fonts are everywhere because they're always like that. But what we think is we want the content to come through first, which is your job description, and then your branding comes in through later on through imaging, which is done through the banner area and your logo. But again, it's very clean design for the job seeker to quickly scan through, get what they want, and apply. Yeah. So three things to keep in mind. Delivering content without delay keeps users engaged. Consistently delivering through a platform and a style eases the burden on the user, and finding and navigating content is more easier on a more unified experience. So the Washington Post kind of did some study on this, and they found that 23% of users, they actually return after 7 days because they are used to a quicker site. Because of the increased load time, more users felt that it's very easy for them to come and view the job ad or view the content. They're able to connect more and spend more time on site.
Basically, this is a new. It's not a new technology. It's an XML structure, and then it have a semantic markups that Google can understand, and then they serve within the Google search result page to streamline the job ad in the cached version. So and we also take into account about the performance and then the loading speed and also the file size of that job ad, so it can be maximize the performance.
Basically, I agree with the AMP page. Basically, AMP page is a custom element on HTML5. I have validated the AMP page, but when I study the AMP page, I found that everything is somewhat have a rules on that. Like if you want to have a quick look of the page, you have to have a critical CSS path. And so I'm wondering what about the JavaScript, because we have so many features like the login, like the apply now, like the save button. Then they even recommend us not to use the Aegis, but the new Promise A+. It is the fetching API, which treats all the data as a streaming of data. So to further study the AMP page, so I attached their so-called AMP analytics. Google have dedicated a whole features to add into the AMPs, and in our research, they also have partnered with Adobe, so our existing publisher can be reused on that page also. But we have to include it in the AMP configurations. As you can see, I have a screen cap for some of the analytics data here. If the person that all of you who have browsed the page, it will have a cookie here called AMP ECID. It is a random string that will sit into the user browser, and the cookie will expire around 1 year. And we could also, I think, we could use this kind ID to track the user experience. And in the Google Analytics user report, you can see in real time, if you have add a label on that, you can see the not so clear, the activity time of that user.
So we are thinking about what is the business impact, right? Because this is one of the judges they're going to be judging us on. So we were looking into what Google is telling us, because at the end this is technology from Google, right? So we were using a study from Think with Google. So we see that 38% of users that go to a website that has fewer images, then that converts a lot more. So we definitely want to increase our conversion rates. Now, websites that load slower, they have a higher bounce rate. So during this study, they found out that the non-bounce sessions, they are way faster. So if your website is faster, you're not going to have a high bounce rate. As well, through the research, we saw that 1 second delay in a page response can reduce up to 7% of conversion rate. That means that if we make our pages faster, like with AMP, then we could be having a very sharp increase in conversion rates. Now, this also has an impact in terms of search and how do we actually reach out to those users. So AMP has a special feature, which we can see here, and actually let's look at it live, how it works. So everything starts obviously with a search. Is this loading? Okay. I think that this is very slow. Accelerated. Let's try to find another one. Just give us 1 second, guys. Tech problems. Alright, so this is how you find them. So you can see, well, let's wait for this thing to refresh. You can see here the interaction, how they're actually swiping to one of the sites, and they are changing actual address. So this is why all the pages are going to be cached in Google. You can actually keep swiping and going to different websites without noticing, so it's seamless. The aim for this is that you do that action, but through our job ads. So let's go back to our presentation. Here we go. So this is going to cost to give a lot more visibility to our job ads, which is one of our end goals. It's going to be extremely fast, so the people are going to be happy to visit it, and they're going to get used to this kind of interaction, which is great, basically. So that's why we are saying that it disrupts the search experience. Now, we need to think about the entire picture, right? So first of all, we're going to be enabling countries like Vietnam, like Indonesia, like Thailand, with very low-end smartphones generally and very slow connections. We're going to be providing Google and any other kind of source a lot of metadata so they can show our job ads even a little bit better. We're going to be caching in Google, which will mean that there's going to be a backup for all of our job ads. Even if our website is down, we can actually still see the job ad. And I think that this is extremely important. We will be the first job portal to have this kind of technology implemented. At the moment, it is very limited because it's experimental and it's being implemented into publishers. Nevertheless, LinkedIn is on this, right? So we can show it to you guys. You see here. So maybe you cannot read it, but this is the Google Analytics Solutions. And as you can see here, Google is actually partnered up with Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and of course, Asia. So, I mean, we have to do it. We already announced it in Google, so yeah, guys, you need to vote for us. I think that it's important to mention and to make a stress about it. This is extremely new technology. There are still a ton of things to develop. There's a lot of things that we need to figure out. Google hasn't figured out everything, but we need to jump on this right now. Yeah, this will definitely provide the business value, it will provide the visibility, and obviously it will keep the hires very happy by exposing their job ads a lot more. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amplifier team. Any questions from the judge panel or from the general audience group? Felix?
I got a technical question. So this is a static page. You push and cache in Google. So what happens if the employer, the hirer, change like a typo on the job ad?
So we were able to get these pages indexed and cached within 1 day. Probably we do not know how it's going to react, how fast is the cache is going to refresh on the pages. Nevertheless, we need to keep in mind that this is extremely light, so it can happen extremely fast. We do not know, to be honest.
So it's just showing a cached static version of the job ad.
No, it's
Yes.
This AMP project is for publisher. So publisher need to earn money, right? So they need people to subscribe it and then to subscribe the content. So what Google thinks is that the cached content can be in parallel. One, you can use a pattern matching to the Google CDN solution. One is your publisher have to default a dedicated CDN server to serve your job ad content. So as I say, how the JavaScript treating the data is that they are using the fetch API, not the ages. So they treat every data to be streaming. So if you want to change something, you should push the update to the job app. They are thinking about something called Surface Worker. Surface Worker is a background process which after Google Chrome 41 and other browsers supported it. They think some critical data could be pushed to the user client. So since, as we say, this AMP is experimental, so Google is partnering with other publisher. They want every data that can be monetized should be 100% hosted by that publisher. So they have tools to push those. What you mean is those changes to user. Can I answer your question?
Thank you, Felix and George.
Quick question. So one of the benefits is obviously the speed, right? So could any of you tell me how much time it needs to render an AMP site job detail page at the moment?
So basically, it's running in parallel. We can still have our AMP site, and then we have the AMP version. So the benefit of AMP version
The
is
question is, the AMP site, how much time does it need in general, in random? Like, in job detail page, how much time does it need for user to render? Using 3G or 4G or 2G?
3G around in our website in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I think it's just 500 milliseconds.
Okay, so in that case, if we switch to this or just add on to this?
No, we just add one more additional